Well, it's right about that time of year when a lot of you will be teaching students how to write the dreaded DBQ. But, it does not have to be that way. This is a hard essay for the students to write, and what they may never appreciate is that it is even harder to teach. And so in this video, I'm going to give you a bunch of resources for doing so and give you a strategy for making the process as clear as possible, and then tell you how to grade them without losing your ever-loving mind. Now, in terms of strategy, the first thing to consider is the timing. If you've been around this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I used to introduce the DBQ during the second week of class on the assumption that it was the hardest essay and they needed as much time as possible to practice it. My heart feels like it's gonna explode. Is that normal? Yep, that means you're doing it right. Make sure to cite that document. But because that practice seemed to be shaving several years off my students' lives by injecting their bodies with horse doses of cortisol, I eventually changed my tactics and introduced the SAQ first. And that way the bar was lower and I could introduce document analysis and argument building in miniature before I asked them to jump into the icy cold waters of doom known as the DBQ. And in general, I found that was a better strategy for me since I wasn't teaching them all the skills necessary for the DBQ at the same time. Turns out there's some wisdom in scaffolding, but I digress. So, assuming the students know how to analyze a document and create an argument using the TEA acronym, which is to say topic, sentence, evidence, and analysis, then they already have the basic elements that they need to tackle a DBQ. So as you know, there are 7 points on the DBQ, and here's the order I suggest that you introduce them. First, get them writing theses. Since this is their argument in miniature, much of the work they have to do for the entire essay is bound up in these 1 or 2 sentences. In order to write a good thesis, they have to properly understand the prompt, analyze the documents, then group the documents, and that's, like 75% of the work. Second, teach them paragraph structure. Since they know how to T an SAQ or, whatever acronym you use, then I just use that exact same formula for my DBQ paragraph. Write the topic sentence by stealing a category from the thesis. Present the evidence from the document, and then analyze that evidence in reference to the prompt. And then do that same thing for as many documents as will be included in that paragraph. Feel that train going? Ha! That's momentum! Ha! Chugga, 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 chugga. This is awkward. I should cut. And then after that, the order doesn't really matter. If they know how to use documents for evidence, then they already have what they need for evidence beyond the documents. Then there's contextualization and sourcing. Then the last point, of course, is complexity, but I don't even mess with that when introducing them to the DBQ. Only 2% of them are going to earn that point anyway, and it can be a real distraction in the beginning. Now, eventually I do introduce it, but I tell the whole class not to focus on it because a 6 out of 7 on the DBQ is no joke, and that score will do everything they want it to do. But I also acknowledge that some of them may want to try for it, and so if anyone is consistently earning a 6 on their DBQs, no less, I will work with them individually to figure out complexity since there really is no formula for that, at least, not one that I know of, and it can be a slippery beast to teach. Okay, now let's get to the main dish. What have I got for you to help teach this thing? Well, I've got 2 resources for the students and 1 for you, the teacher. First, sometimes the students just need a good old-fashioned graphic organizer. Now, this one is linked in the description as part of my APUSH and AP World Teacher Resource Pack, which has class activities for every topic and every unit of those courses. Again, link below. This organizer has explanations for every point in the rubric and a brief explanation for what skills they need to demonstrate for each. And this is something they need to keep in their notebooks for reference ad infinitum. Second, I'm releasing this video in conjunction with a new DBQ explanation on my main channel. And look, I'm not saying I explained it perfectly, but it's always helpful to have another voice reinforcing what you have already said. So check out that video and think about giving it to your students as well. Additionally, there's a playlist on my main channel that has videos on thesis statements, DBQ templates, interpreting the prompt, etc. All these are linked below. And third, I have a teacher-focused resource for grading these without losing your mind. I don't have to tell you what it's like to get a stack of DBQs on your desk and then start sweating and then come to the awful conclusion, oh, I did this to myself. So, also linked below is an interactive scoring sheet that has preloaded commentary for each point, and you can share these with each student. It won't take all the work out of it, but I definitely found that it speeds things up. Now, I kind of breezed over the skill of sourcing documents, but if you want to learn how I teach that, then this video right here is for you. And if you're new around here, then subscribe and come along. I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Heimler out.